Alright guys, we're back with my engine of my F100. This is part 2 of our stupid, you know, random last minute decision to pull the motor on my truck.
No time to pull it or rebuild it, but we're going to do it anyway and hope it gets done before the car show because, yeah, we're fun.
Yeah, so we're going to start pulling this motor apart. So we're going to take valve covers off. This is the video we're going to strip down and go dive in depth on my 302 that I have absolutely beat the crud out of for the last 4 or 5 years.
And never pulled anything off.
Yeah, this motor's never been out of my truck before, so you can see everything's cleaned up now. We power washed the whole motor, so you can actually kind of see everything now. And Sean was pointing out you can actually see how much I have not actually painted on the motor. It's actually just all rusty. So in this video, we're definitely gonna see what's inside this oil pan, what the bottom end looks like, what the top end looks like, and just kind of go through everything. And then we will lay out all of the new parts and kind of go through what we're going to be putting back in this engine. So we're going to get right to it. Oh, so that didn't last long. My valve cover stuck to the top of this. As I was saying earlier, I have a broken valve cover, so that's pretty dope. But we have new ones, so it's okay. Top end looks just what I thought. Everything looks good there. Looks a little crusty, but looks like a stock 302 to me. I never ran the numbers on these heads, so that's one thing I do want to do. But we were noticing, look at how tiny these little ports are. They're so small. Alright guys, here's what we found so far. So the top end of this thing is incredibly crusty and like heat burnt all around. It obviously ran fine, but going over to the actual valve train, these lifters, and these things are worn. Look at the oil ridge. This is not like, I can't just wipe this off. This is burnt on to each lifter. Some of them are very, very bad, like this one right here, which I'll pull out to show you guys. So this one, it actually has a gnarly, gnarly ridge on it. And you can actually see it's got like a residue, like carbon baked build all over the top of it. And these actually, we had to take these out. We couldn't take these out by hand. We had to grab them with a pair of pliers to be able to get these things out. We're not reusing them, so it doesn't matter. But just the fact we couldn't take them out. And then you can see if I kind of brush over the top, it's gonna be hard to see with the camera focus, but you can see there's swirl marks, and these are all kind of dimpled inward, some more than others. But these lifters are definitely worn out pretty good. It's a sharp edge around on the edges of them. So these things are definitely worn in pretty well. You know, they got the circles on them that you've seen on worn out lifters before. But yeah, you can kind of see as I go back and forth there, you can kind of see the light change over the tops of them. So yeah, those are pretty wiped. And then the push rod condition is just, yeah. You can just see the color change all over them. They're pretty burnt. Yeah, there's a lot of carbon buildup on those as well. Then my intake, I gotta clean up again, even though I already did it once, we're gonna do it again. So yeah, we're just gonna keep on trucking and start taking some more of this stuff apart when Sean gets back so we can see it all. And we'll start with the cylinder heads and then work our way down. So I'm cleaning up some of the parts. This is the oil sending unit extension piece that kind of goes outside of the motor, and then the sensor goes on the end of this. And I want to show you guys, so this is a Scotch-Brite wheel from primemx.com. I'll leave a link down below. These things are sweet because it's basically like a Scotch-Brite. It gives you a brushed finish. So you can see this thing's pretty dirty, but if I just run it across this real quick. So I'll still have to do another round, but you can get the point. You know, this is worth the effort to clean the little pieces up, and I'm very big on little details, so I'm gonna do this to a lot of the bolts, a lot of little pieces, make everything shine again. So I'm gonna get to it. You guys don't need to see this process, but I'll come back when we're done. So I was going through the water pump. You can see I'm gonna replace this thing now, and you can actually see where it started to erode the paint because it was starting to leak. That's what these C-poles are for, which I found out on my Galaxy. So now I have a new one here. This guy's lifetime warranty, which is pretty rad because now I'm just gonna go ahead and put the old one in the box and return it, and I got a free water pump. So it's pretty cool. Okay, now we're good. Okay, wait, you think it's like super loose? I think it's fine.
I'm going loose.
You think it's really loose? I think it's perfectly fine.
I don't think you can see that from the lighting.
I don't care. I want to. Yeah, now I can. I don't know what you're talking about. I have absolutely no timing play whatsoever. I think that's...
Can I really see it, or do I need...
Okay. This is the whole reason I wanted to tear this thing apart, or one of the biggest reasons. You guys have seen this thing smash rev limiter. Rev limiter is horrible for timing chains because it stretches the crud out of them. I don't think I've ever seen a chain that's stretched. Wow, and then the other side's still loose too, so you can like push it all the way in. Wow, look at how much the upper gear moves. Wow, that's something else.
That's with...
Dang.
Oh, is it?
That is crazy. What? Oh yeah, that thing's about to fall off. Look at that.
Oh my god. It
could literally fall off. I'm surprised it didn't skip a tooth now that I think about it. Like, that thing could actually come down and slip over a tooth.
I might, if I tried hard enough, be able to take it off.
And move it over?
No, like take the whole chain off with both gears on it.
Yeah. Man, look at that fuel pump eccentric.
Oh, that's nice and worn in there.
I don't actually know if this, like, I don't have proof that this motor's never been rebuilt before. It looks like it kind of hasn't, but I think I saw cross-hatching, which tells me it's been rebuilt once. But
if it was a long time ago and a lot of rev limiter ago.
But you guys saw the lifters and all that stuff, so we're going to go ahead and take this timing chain off and slip this camshaft out because I'm really curious to see the wear on the camshaft.
Look at all the freaking burnt oil on the inside of this thing.
Yeah, I think this had a lot of Pennzoil. Plus me, you know, when my truck used to burn and leak oil everywhere, instead of doing an oil change, it changes its own oil, aka leaking it all over the place, and you just add it, therefore you never have to change it because it's always got new oil in it. Big brain things, you know what I mean?
It never bounced off the limiter at all for long periods of time, many times around, over and over again for quite a while.
Nope. Always let it warm up to operating temp before putting on a rev limiter every time also, and then drove it and changed my miles, or changed my miles every oil change, if that makes you see what I was... Yeah. We're gonna go ahead and pull the chain off this and take this this egg lobe shaft thing out. Oh, can you see in there? Oh, you're trying to see my metal shavings? There's nothing in there. I'm telling you, it's gonna be spotless. Spotless, I tell you. It ran perfect when I parked it here yesterday.
Hey, bud.
Alright, so now you guys can kind of see the camshaft. This is not oil. This is it's like burned on oil. I don't really know.
It's burned on oil.
I mean, everything on the inside of this motor seems to be the same way, but you can like you're not wiping that off. It's like stained. I've never actually seen that before, but it's like got actual legit staining in it. I mean, there, now you can see it kind of. Oh, it doesn't come off. Just kidding. Yeah, it's like burnt into the camshaft, which is very interesting. I haven't seen that before. But like, there's certain spots of the cam that are like a little worn down more than others, but in overall, like, for being a very used cam, this is actually in better shape than the one that came out of the White Galaxy. That thing was flat.
Yeah,
like we had,
the White Galaxy had nothing.
Yeah, we had circular lobes, and if I go back to front, you know, I still do see eggs all the way back.
There's lobes for all of them. It's still a usable cam, just not a...
I wouldn't use it, but yeah.
It's not a...
Technically, I mean, I drove it here. I gotta keep reminding myself that I drove it.
Reminding myself of it.
Yeah, so this cam's like technically still good, but you can tell this thing's definitely got some miles on it, and it really shouldn't be reused, but yeah. And then the gear is not really in much better shape. You know, you can actually see
this one's really
that one. You can see a lot of wear in the teeth themselves. If it focuses there, you can kind of see like the actual teeth marks. There's indents in the teeth all the way around. And you can see it over here where the chain was riding on it. As it went around there, you can see those two little indents. They just go down. So this thing had some. I mean, it always comes down to the amount of, you know, high RPM that this thing saw.
A lot.
Screaming, and that tension that the rev limiter gets, it just beats on the chain like you wouldn't believe. So yeah. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and take the cylinder heads off, see what's under there. Look at these carbonized pistons, because I've run a lot of 87 and crap through this motor.
That's all you run.
Yeah.
There's gonna be so much carbon on these pistons.
Hey, I put 91 in it last time I drove it over here for no reason. But it made me
that
feel.
Was the last time you did it in like 2 years.
But it made me feel good about myself. What do you think you're gonna see?
Carbon for days.
I think I'm gonna see a lot of carbon. Okay, water everywhere. There it is. Hey, it's actually going kind of in the bucket. Come on! Oh, you bastard! You didn't unscrew one of the bolts all the way.
Which one? There it is.
Oh, fuck.
Crap.
More crap. Dude, look at the size of the dish in that thing.
Oh my god. Holy carbon buildup.
You know what's interesting though is look at this cylinder. That's a lot closer to the top of the deck than I thought. Oh, you see you feel a ridge? Oh wow, I feel a
like almost 1/16 of an inch ridge.
Nah, dude, she'll send. Rev limiter will fix that.
There's a...
Yeah, you can probably see that actually.
There it is. You can see the ridge of stuff there.
Yeah, it's
my.
pretty good.
I mean, to be expected though, to be honest.
Yeah, but I mean, it's actually like not terrible. Like you can see this, there's a little bit of clean piston here. I don't know what the hell is in there. That like ate something. I don't know what that is. See all
Valve
that?
contact.
It looks like no.
Valve contact.
Oh, it's in all the cylinders. It's like it ate a freaking gasket or something.
I don't. It's buildup on it.
Oh, it's got crud all over it. That is gnarly. I've never seen anything like that.
I don't.
That's weird.
I don't know. Let's scrape it off.
Well, let's take the other head off and then
flip
the motor over and pull the pan out.
All right. What are you talking about? These things are light.
Where do winds are at? Yeah, you are, you little shit. You need to start working. You must be made in China because you suck. You suck worse than a bag of. Dude, that's.
Oh!
You see all that shit?
There's a lot of stuff in there. There's a lot of stuff in there.
I don't know what you're talking about. She's brand new.
Give me a mic. I'm gonna mic these out. They're already over.
Well, you gotta figure out. There you go. Now hit it right here. Good.
Got it?
Yep. Oh my god.
Clean as a whistle.
Clean as a whistle. Look at that. Like it's never even been ran. Nice, please as fist.
The only thing on the clean tip of my finger is a piece of metal.
Paper or plastic?
Metal. The only thing I pull up is a solid, decent-sized chunk of metal.
Yeah, that was a pretty big piece.
That was a decent size.
A bunch of metallic right there too.
Oh, you know what? I got an idea. I haven't she runs up until the cap motor goes out.
Cool. Okay. That's one way to get it.
So much coolant.
Yeah, there was no catching that. Alright, so we flipped the motor over, started to kind of investigate and figure out what kind of damage a boy can do with a 302. That sounded pretty cool. I should put that on a t-shirt actually. But we took the main cap off and the rod caps off, and this is what you found on each. And these are both the furthest away from the oil pump. So in theory, these get the least amount of oil pressure. I mean, you know, relatively. So as you can see, there's a bunch of copper showing. So a lot of you guys that have never taken a motor apart, the younger guys, you know, these aren't steel all the way through. They kind of have a wear coating on them. And then once you get down to this copper, that's kind of how you know it's worn out. So these are definitely worn out. So we are trying to replace these. These are 1010, as you can see they're stamped on there. Not sure if the camera's probably not going to focus on that, but they are 1010. As you can see.
Says it.
Yeah, 1010. And then these have a bunch of letters and numbers on them that don't indicate what size they are, so these are going to be a lot harder to find. So we have mains on the way. Those should be here tomorrow. We are having a really tough time finding the rod bearings. I'd imagine if the crank's 1010, the rods are too. Or rods are 10 under, so I'm not entirely sure. We're going to have to figure that out. If I can't find bearings that fit tomorrow, we're going to take some measurements of the rods, or the rod spot on the crank, make sure that we get the right size bearings, obviously, and get everything to go together. But we're going to kind of lead into what parts we're putting in this motor. So obviously we're rebuilding it. I'm not going to put these bearings back in this motor. It's stupid. You saw the lifters, you saw how burnt they were, you saw how burnt the cam was. You saw how trash the bearings are. Everything's junk. Not total junk, but just really worn out is a simple way to put it. The cylinders are in good shape. You can still see the cross hatching in there, which is good. So those are still good. We can probably just wipe those down real quick.
Yeah, you can kind of see it right there.
There's a little ridge. There's a little ridge in there, but you can. We'll just Scotch-Brite that out. It won't be too big a deal. So. There is
you can really see the cross hatching in it.
Yeah, they're in good shape. They're in actually surprisingly good shape. So in theory, we should be able to just kind of do it by hand. We're not doing this the full, send it to the machine shop, do all this stuff, and spend all this money on it for no reason. But yeah, so we're gonna kind of clean everything up and level everything out, and we'll kind of lay over all the parts that we're gonna put in this motor and start blowing it apart, because we got some rods to press on some new pistons that may or may not be sitting there. Race car stuff.
Ooh.
Shiny. Okay, our last piece of information is what's in this oil pan, which I think you guys all already know based on the rest of this engine. I want you guys to see how like shiny this stuff. There is some water in the pan, so like kind of try to ignore that. But you can see how like silky everything is. The camera probably won't pick it up, but when a flashlight's on it as I'm pouring, you can see like a ton of metallic like coming out of this thing. So oil's not in great shape, but it's what's at the bottom of this pan I'm really curious about, because that's kind of what we were all expecting. There's going to be a bunch of stuff, so I guess we will find out. Ooh, yeah. There's the milky water. That's great. That's really not great, actually. Oh no. There we go. So I see a big piece of metal right there. At least I think that's what that is.
That's exactly what that is.
And then I see a ton of crap up here in the front of the pan. As you can see, we did get a little bit of water in the pan because we were washing something off and it hit it.
Overall, not too bad, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I changed my oil, you know, when I felt like it. So, but I didn't find any like large pieces of metal that broke off of something, so that's a good thing.
Aside from that one.
Yeah, but I was very curious to see what was in here.
She looks pretty good.
Yeah, I'm impressed. Alright, this is rod number 2. Yeah? Alright, so it's about exactly midnight or a little while after. It's Saturday, or technically Sunday now. So we're going to dive into the parts. So we have the stock rotating assembly, stock crank, stock rod, stock pistons. You guys just watched us take these stock pistons off because we're going to be replacing them with these. Now this is a 30 over engine. These are the stock rods, 302 rods. And then these are a set of Keith Black dome top pistons. You can see the 30 over stamp right there. This is a plus 5cc dome, and it has the big valve release. You can see it there, and this should significantly change our compression ratio, because you see by the old piston, you know, just the way that the piston head is formed is completely different. You can see one goes inward versus the other one that comes upward. So you can just tell there that this is going to be a significant increase. And I wasn't planning on doing this, but this was something that I got in a trade with Sean, because Sean was building this motor for this truck, and they never went in because he got a good short block and didn't need them anymore. And so I traded him a bell housing for his 5-speed swap. And so then I ended up with these, and we had a wild hair to put them in. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. But this is a press fit setup, so we're not going to be using the wrist pins on the sides, which are these little guys. We just have to make sure that it gets relatively in the center, so it has a little bit of room to move left and right, because we have to heat up the rods, slide them in there, and then when they cool, they'll be kind of onto the rods. So that's kind of what we're doing right now, is installing the rods, new pistons onto the old rods, and having ourselves a little pop-up piston, stock 302s, keeping the 3-inch stroke, and that should be a pretty good setup. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get these things installed and get ready to put them all back together. Alright guys, so this is where we stand. Crankshaft, I have it just set there real quick. It's all the way stripped down. I didn't really want to go this far, but that's kind of where I ended up being. As you can see, this front bearing is absolutely wiped out. As you go back, it just doesn't really get much better. The only one that's in any sort of good shape are these rear ones, which is interesting. Normally I figure the front ones would be in better shape, but I guess that makes sense considering the crank and the timing chain, all that strain on the chain, you know, it goes forward and back. But you can see the bearings get significantly better as you go back. There we go. That one's pretty decent. That one's not actually that deep. This one's actually not too bad either. It's got a bunch of oil on it. And then the rear one wasn't terrible. But you can see the cylinders look good. There's no like abnormal scoring in them. You know, you go all the way back, they look pretty good. So that's awesome. There's no real crazy ridge at the top either. You know, you can run your finger down that and you're not going to catch your nail on anything. There's not any like vertical scoring from the piston rings. You know, I don't see anything that stands out at me, which is great. So the block is still in really good shape. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and take the tedious process of cleaning this thing up. I'm going to take all the old gaskets off. You can see I still got a bunch of degreasing to do. Took off all the main caps here. You know, those are no different. They all look, you know, relatively the same. You can see the bearings are definitely warm, but the caps are still in good shape. So yeah, I'm gonna keep this short and simple. I'm gonna open the garage, roll the motor out, prep for paint so I can get all that out of the way and all the gasket surfaces cleaned. So when you have our pistons, we can slap this whole thing together. Alright guys, our block is fully clean now. You can see we got the freeze plugs in there. Let me see if I can kick this over with one arm. Okay, that's good enough. Look at the condition of these cylinder walls. These things are in awesome shape for coming out of my truck. I showed you guys them earlier. Here's a little better look. You know, the whole motor is now clean and raw, so now we can go ahead and paint it. So I'm just going to run a wire wheel across the bottom side of this motor, or top side a little bit. I went ahead and used a abrasive pad to go ahead and clean the deck surfaces all the way across the China wall here and down along the other side. But yeah, you can see the cylinder right there. Just really, really good cross hatching. I'm really stoked with that. Bottom side, got the oil pan gasket cleaned up. Basically did all the dirty work off camera so you guys didn't have to see it. But now we're going to go ahead and spend some time wire wheeling the outside of the block real quick and get ready to shoot some primer on this thing once the motor goes together. Alright guys, so a lot of time has actually gone by since you last saw that clip. So it's been about a day or so, and I ended up kind of biting the bullet. And you can see I got the new pistons and the freshly machined block behind me. So what I ended up doing was sucking it up and going and putting cam bearings in this thing. I also honed it out and made sure the block was all good. So I got the block machined, and I also went ahead and brought the rods to the machine shop. Now what happened was we slipped that rod through and then it stopped. It went almost all the way through and then it stopped. And when it stops, don't press it. Just, you don't want to break a piston. So I sucked it up, and the next morning I went and brought it to the machine shop. Rick's Machining down in Santee, California. Amazing group of guys, you know, super awesome to work with. Really nice, really helped me out, especially my time crunch. And they fixed everything for me. My rods were junk. They were totally mix matched, and they were not labeled, and they were not balanced, and they were ground wrong. So I had to get all my rods resized. Which you can see right now, they're all brand new. Everything's all new in here. We have our Keith Black domes on here. You can see everything spins nice and how it's supposed to. There's no, you know, friction in there. It is pressed in all the way, which is great. And they're all relabeled, so you can see they're actually stamped. 1, this one's 4, that one's 6, and that one over there is 8, or this one right here is 8. And they're all balanced. Everything on here is balanced. That's awesome. Block itself has just been honed out. You can see that looks good there. It's got new cam bearings in it, because I wanted to make sure that those are all good. I have my new camshaft in it right now. I got to take it back out. But yeah, we're gonna start putting this thing together real quick. And then they went ahead and ground my crank, because my crank was already 1010, so were the rods, so they ground everything 2020, so 20 thou under, and it's polished, so that's all new. And then I've got some different cylinder heads on the bench I'm rebuilding right now. So everything is kind of brand new. So this whole motor is going to be literally brand new. It's a little bit more than I was expecting. I did pay for it, but you know, you get what you pay for. So this is going to be a pretty stout setup. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I got a ton of work to do, so I'm going to close this video out here. The next video you'll see me rebuilding the cylinder heads and hopefully getting this motor together. So I hope you guys did go on to enjoy it. Like the video again, like I said. I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully getting this truck together. Bye guys.